give you a heads up in the chat just when you're kind of at like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, just so you know.
Right on.
Are you guys the Patriots?
We're the Minutemen, but
okay.
so they're the like famous coach from Lexington that he won like 5 state championships. He like wrote like a letter or something to the Patriots organization like fucking back in the 60s or 70s or something, like long time ago. To get like permission to use like their old school 3-point stance logo guy.
Yep.
And so that's like our thing that we use for football. I mean, the school kind of uses it here and there. We kind of got a generic one for the school, but yeah, it's I heard that story back when I first got here a few years ago. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was pretty sweet.
That old school logo is so cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, people are starting to file in. All right. We're going to get underway here, guys. Happy to introduce Kyle Kogan from Lexington High School, head coach down there, talking about Rip and Liz coverages. So, Coach, floor is yours.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Kyle Kogan, head coach, DC at Lexington, like you're saying. Kind of before I start, just want to give shout out to some people. Obviously, my wife and mom support me hugely. My dad's a football coach in Missouri, taught me a lot, especially since I was growing up. Fred Bouchard kind of gave me my start at Staley. He's at MICDS now, which if you're in Missouri, obviously you don't know any of these places. Phil Light's the head coach at Staley. He taught me a lot about defense. He's the DC when I first got there. Kyle Barkley, he was the head coach at Lexington. He hired me as the DC. He moved to the AD role, and I slid up. And then one of my best friends, Dante Barti, he's a GA out at Cal right now. If you've seen his stuff on CoachTube, this is going to be like the same kind of stuff. So without those guys, I wouldn't be where I am. So try to say thanks to them before I do stuff. There's my email if you got questions. There's my Twitter handle. If you got questions, I'm probably more likely to answer on Twitter because I get like 50,000 emails every day. So I probably check my Twitter before my email. All right, so we're talking zone match, one high spread, or one high versus the spread. I'll try to check the Q&A kind of randomly as I'm going through. So we're all on the same page. When I say spread, I'm just talking like 2x2, 3x1. I don't care if it's 10, 11, 12, whatever personnel. Just talking doubles, trips, basically, One high is obviously cover 3, cover 1. Zone match is obviously going to be like cover 3, just generic sense. Cover 1's going to be man. So kind of reviewing again, so we're all on the same page. We got 4 different coverage families. If you follow me on Twitter, I've talked about this. So you got zone match, zone or pure zone, spot drop zone, whatever you want to call it, man match, and man, pure man, cat coverage, whatever you call it. Zone man, the easiest. Zone is pure spot drop to an area, settle, watch the quarterback shrink and expand off his vision. Man is I got this dude wherever he goes, no matter what. I have him. If he goes up into the stands, I'm up into the stands with him. Zone match, okay, and man match is probably where people kind of get confused. Zone match, we're matching, routes. We're relating to receivers, but it's from depth, like top down. We're playing with a no cover zone. We want to keep everything in front of us. Man match is tight coverage. So think man to man, except we're going to switch people. So like banjos, in and outs. I know people do that already. So there's kind of the difference between them. I put this out there too. For the difference between them, are you looking at the quarterback? Are you dropping to an area? Are you playing with a no cover zone? Are you passing routes off? Generically, if you're answering yes to that, it's a zone match. No, it's a man match. The techniques being taught to the underneath guys are going to dictate whether it's a man match or a zone match. It's less about the secondary and more about the linebackers. So think cover one, you got somebody playing the middle of the field. Okay, yeah, he's in zone, but everyone else is playing man underneath, like that's man to man, which I think, most people would agree on. Cover three, yeah, we got somebody in the middle of the field, but everyone underneath is playing zone. So, same idea being applied to two-man versus cover two or quarters, man match quarters like cover 7 Saban, or for Saban, cover 8 is zone match, right? It's the techniques that you're teaching the underneath guys. All right, so for one high rotation, so you can obviously rotate strong or weak. For us, 3 is rotating strong and 6 is rotating weak. It's all based off the passing strength. We make a red-blue call based on, most eligible receivers. You can say whatever you want. You can plug the safeties in to different spots. So if you're going to plug the safety outside the linebacker or the nickel, that's sky support, safety support. He's the force player. If you're plugging him inside of the linebacker's nickel, that's buzz, backer support. So different ways, that you can do the exact same thing. So 2x2, 6 sky. So passing strength to the right, most eligible receivers, 1, 2, 3. I've had people ask, okay, what if the back is over here, right? So he's not to the 2 open side, he's weak. We might game plan how we're going to set the passing strength. Maybe it is still to the 2 open side. Maybe it's to the field, wherever that is. So we'll game plan that. But usually as a base rule, we're going to set it to the 2 open side. And I don't really necessarily care where the back is. So Sky, safety rotating down. He's the force player. Okay. Here would be Buzz. So you're going to need to obviously slide the linebacker out to be the curl flat guy and insert the safety in the hook. Okay. Looking strong. So Buzz, putting him inside of the nickel. You're going to need to bump all the linebackers, weak hook, weak curl flat. So you can put him in the strong hook. Rotating the weak safety to the middle of the field. Or 3 sky, so put them outside the nickel. Or if, you'll probably do this if you're a 3-4 team, right? Like this is your Jack or Will or whatever you call him. This is the Will, this is the Mike, and then you have a Sam linebacker and he's rushing, right? Like, so 3-4 wise, you're probably going to be more sky oriented. We're 4 down most of the time, so we're more buzz oriented. Especially if we're rotating strong. So for us, we only play 6 sky and 3 buzz is the only way that we do it. So we do not play 3 sky or 6 buzz. So when I call cover 3, the kids only know 3 as 3 buzz. When I call cover 6, the kids only know 6 as 6 sky, right? They don't necessarily have to know what sky and buzz is because we only play it one way. Versus trips, rotating weak, so passing strength to the right, sky, safety support. There would be buzz, rotating strong, 3 sky, and 3 buzz. So this would be the only way that we play trips if we're rotating strong. We only play it this way. We do not play it this way, right? but the teaching is all the same, right? So if you wanted to do it different ways, like you're going to play, the curl flat drop the same regardless of who it is, right? So when you're teaching everything, ideally you want it to be conceptually, not you do this, you do that, you do the other thing. It's okay, this is how you play the weak hook. This is how you play the strong curl flat. This is how you play the strong outside third, right? That's ideally how you want to teach everything. So then you can plug and play kids into different spots. So now that we're all kind of on the same page, we'll talk foundation of all one high coverage is dividers. So divider rules for us is 5-1 bottom. We're high school. I've seen colleges use the same thing. I've seen colleges do 6-1 bottom. It's the hashes are slightly different for college, but I've seen some of them use just the exact same thing. We use 5-1 bottom. So what this translates for is if you're on the far hash or to the field, your divider is 5 yards on top of the numbers. For most of the kids, I just tell them it's an apex or a midpoint between the top of the numbers and the hash. I got pictures coming up, so you'll be able to see all this. If the ball's in the middle of the field, divider is 1 yard on top of the numbers. And if you're into the boundary, so the ball's on the near hash, the divider is the bottom of the numbers. Okay, so there's our 5-1 bottom rule for dividers. So dividers are going to be imaginary lines running down the field. Basically, it's going to tell you whether you have help or you don't have help from the middle of the field player, right? So if they're running a route inside the divider, you should be getting help from whoever's playing the middle of the field spot. Kind of jumping ahead to position maintenance stuff, but you can play outside and in the trail and try to undercut the route because you're going to have help coming top down from the middle of the field player. If he's running a route outside of the divider, so say he's running a straight, vertical 9 route, you don't have help from the middle of the field player, so you need to be inside and on top. So you can cut the route off and not get beat deep, right? If they run the comeback, you're not going to stop that unless my kid is way better than your kid or your quarterback doesn't have a strong arm, right? If it's equal talent, I'm not going to stop that. So there's our divider for ball in the middle of the field. If it's on the hash, right, far hash, 5 yards from the top of the numbers, or just tell them, split the difference between top of the numbers and the hash. There's the divider. If you're under the boundary, the near hash, it's the bottom of the numbers, right? It's all the same idea. If they're running a route inside, you should be getting help from middle of the field player or the hook defenders. If they're running a route outside, right, wheel, whatever it is, then you're not expecting help from the deep guy. You need to cut it off vertically. I've had people ask before about splitting hairs of, okay, what is declared as the middle of the field and what is, what's the hash? So we'll tell the kids if the ball is between the uprights, that's declared as the middle of the field. If it's outside the uprights, that's declared as the hash. So if the ball is obvious right here, this is obviously the goal line, so we're probably not playing cover 3. But right is that it's not on the hash, it's not in the middle of the field, it's outside the uprights, we're going to say that's on that hash. So I've had people ask that question before too. Okay, kind of talked about this before, or kind of just a second ago. Position maintenance. So this is basically fancy word or description of it's your position relative to the receiver in relation to the divider. So what does that mean? That means if he's running an inside route, right, it's probably going inside the divider, so you can play the route outside and in the trail, right? You can try to undercut the route because you're going to have help from the hook defenders, top down on a slant or, shallow, whatever it is, or a post, right, from the middle of the field player, top down, right? If they're running a route outside the divider, okay, we need to be inside and on top because we're not going to have help from the deep safety or hook defenders or whoever it is. We need to cut the route off so we don't get beat deep and, play the comeback best that we can. Okay. Routes can obviously change, post snap. I'm going to go back to real quick to this, right? So say he lines up here. Okay. We're going to use the divider to line up and to play routes post snap. And so the 5-1 bottom rule is the exact same for everybody. Like, I don't care if it's a corner. I don't care if it's the nickel, if it's the walked out jack in a 3-4. It is the same for the overhangs, the corners, for anybody, free safety dropping down, playing cover 1 or playing 3 buzz. Like, it is the same for everybody. So if they're inside the divider, we're going to line up outside. Say this is the overhang. We're 5x2 divider leverage. So if he runs inside, right, and he stays inside the divider, we're going to try to undercut the route. If he lines up here, okay, and he runs out, okay, we're playing cover 3, so it's zone. We don't want to drive on it, okay, because we're playing zone. We want to work work horizontally and play it from depth, so then we can play the wheel, right? So I'm going to be going from outside leverage to inside leverage post snap based on the routes that they're running, okay, which, is naturally going to happen against most things. I don't necessarily have to weave or do anything fancy, okay? All right, so when we're teaching this to the kids, I kind of already alluded to this before. We want to teach everything as X's on the board. So, that we're going to teach it as, okay, this is how you play the strong curl flat, the weak hook, the middle of the field, whatever it might be. Okay. I think my thing is, oh, there it goes. Okay. Same thing versus trips, right? X is on the board. This is how you play the weak curl flat, the weak hook, the strong strong curl flat, the strong outside third, whatever it is. So then we can put kids in different spots and they should know what to do, right? Obviously, you're going to have to rep it and all that stuff. But when I'm talking about how to play the strong curl flat, right, then that outside linebacker in the corner better be listening because they're going to have to know how to do that, right? Or if we're talking about how to play the middle of the field, then the free safety and the weak safety and, the star potentially, they're going to need to know how to do that, right? So they should all be listening. So for us, 2x2, like I said, we only play 6 sky. So this would be the only way that we play doubles, right? We set the passing strength to the right, weak safety came down, free safety in the middle of the field, whether we're disguising too high or we just line up like that, right? Either way, okay? We're press aligned with the corners and then we bail as late as possible. Try to make it look like man free, as much as we can if we're uptight or cover 2, if we're showing a 2 deep shell, which we run both of those. So obviously it's, complementing the looks. I've had people ask on when do they bail. Ideally is at the snap. If they're not very good, they need to get out quicker. So I've had people ask that. All right, so just talking about rules. Corner is playing mod, which is for us man on deep on number 1. So he's playing man on deep on the number 1 wide receiver. If he's deep, he's got him. We'll talk about tempo and the routes in a second. The curl flat player, their rule is 2 in the seam. If 2 is in the seam, I got him man to man. Now there's some things that'll bring him off, right? If we get a fast 3, the flat is threatened, then we're going to come off 2 in the seam and we're going to play the flat, right? But if nobody is in the flat, we ideally want it to play out like cover 1, right? Because what's the weakness of cover 3? 4 verticals. If we can take away that weakness, right, we can play cover 3, cover 6 against more, teams, right? Because we can stop what they think are weaknesses. The hook defenders, okay, they're dropping to the hook. They're going to take the final 3 through. We'll talk to them about the difference between 3 and the down in a fast 3, which I got pictures of all this stuff coming up. These are the same slides that I use for the kids. So, you got to have visual stuff for the kids so they know what's going on. We're going to robot or cut crossers based on undercalls, which we'll talk about that here in a second. Basically, that's to make 3 levels so they don't throw the dig behind us on like NCAA concept. And then the free safeties play in the middle of the field principle. Okay. So here would be, our spots that we're going to. Okay. There's our rules. All right. For our guys. Okay. So, all right. So we're talking about different route matches. Okay. So we'll kind of talk left to right, or we'll talk the secondary and then we'll talk the inside backers. Okay, so ideally corners are leaving as late as possible, bailing at the snap. So I kind of talked about this before of tempoing routes. So I got this from Dante. So he's a good DB guy. So ideally we're bailing at the snap as late as we possibly can. The thing is that we had problems with was our kids couldn't tell the difference between like a hitch being vertical or like a curl being vertical or deep, right? And, you would think, well, the hitch is happening quick, like they should know, or the curl's happening late, whatever, or this is at 5, this is at 10 to 12, like the kids should know. Well, our kids didn't know, so we needed a way to figure it out for them, right? And so basically what Dante said was you want to count steps in your head, right? And so as I'm sideways running, I'm counting the steps in my head. And once we found, about 10-ish steps, maybe 8, depending on how long the kid is, if they're still coming deep or vertical, after those, 8 to 10 steps, that guy is deep and I got him. That's my guy, right? If he breaks off short underneath, within on my 6th, 7th, whatever step, that is not deep, right? I need to make a call to the curl flat defender so he knows to come off and take the flat, right? And so that's what we've done with the corners to tempo the route. We do the same thing with the outside backers shuffling. So it's like a square shuffle. We have our hip angles like this, okay, when we're shuffling back, and then we'll turn it late if he's declared in the seam. So we're doing the same idea. We're taking 3 shuffles back. I got my leverage foot up, so I would have my left foot up, my right foot back, and I'm shuffling back, 1, 2, 3, right? If he's still coming vertically at me after my 3 shuffles, he's declared deep, I got him, that's my guy, right? And over here on the weak side, especially since the back isn't there, I don't have to worry about anybody coming out to the flat immediately, right? I have no threat of a fast 3. The only way I'm going to get somebody in the flat is if we get smash concept like over here, right? So then if he's still coming at me, I got him. Okay. Kind of talked this already, right? I'm bailing at the snap. Ideally, he breaks off before my 10th step. This would be a smash call for us. This is going to tell the outside backer, come off, hunt the high hip of the number 1 wide receiver because we want to make him run underneath us, right, back into help. If we go low and we miss, he's got a lot of grass, and they could potentially block us with the number 2. Okay. Once we make the smash call, we're going to work to our midpoint. So if 2 is vertical, then we're going to play him with divider leverage. He's probably inside the divider. So we're going to play outside in the trail underneath it. So again, we can have help from the middle of the field player. Okay. Coach, I got a chat one. Can you go through slant and wheel and post wheel and how you play it with the corner from 2x2? Okay. Slant wheel, post wheel. Okay. All right. So post wheel is easy. Okay. If I could get this to go away. Okay. So post wheel is easy. Post, okay, Wheel, we're bailing. He's obviously deep. We got him. Okay. We want to be in the outside trail because the free safety should be over the top. All right. The star is working back into the seam. He breaks off underneath. We want to stay, play it with zone integrity over the top. We don't drive on it. Do not drive on it, because as soon as you drive on it, they run the wheel and you're fucked. They're going to throw it over your head. Okay. So you want to stay, from depth, working from depth. So when he breaks on the wheel, you can turn and run and then get inside and on top to cut the route off and you don't get beat deep. Right. So post wheel is pretty easy. Okay. Slant wheel. Okay. All right. So on the slant, the corner is going to be making an undercall, which I got undercalls coming up. He's not deep, right? But he's not running a hitch. Okay. So the undercall is going to communicate that one is coming in and not sitting down in the flat, right? Well, with him, okay, with the outside backer, we're not going to take the slant, okay, because this guy is in the flat. Number 2 is in the flat. So he does literally the exact same thing, okay? We're dropping to our hook, okay, and then we're going to be playing the slant, from hopefully inside and on top. We got depth over here. If he is literally getting all the way over here, we have a problem up here. Like our D-line is not good then, or this kid is so good that we can't get pressure on him with our 4 guys, okay? Does that make sense? I guess I probably can't see if that, yes, 6'3" is our base coverage. Yes. Okay. All right. And yeah. Okay. He got it. What's up, Josh? I just saw your name. Okay. All right. Okay. We didn't talk about the hook, guys. Okay. All right. So on this one, this is moving weird. Okay, hook guys, we're dropping to our hook. Okay, 3's in the down. Anything but him immediately releasing fast is in the down. So if he pass blocks or he comes up into the line and comes out, that's in the down. Okay, this is the only fast option. If he comes up and releases out, we have to take final 3 through. So we're going to have to drive on it, right? Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. Okay, we got to take him through, and we'll start working back into the low hole. If he stays in the hook, it's not really that big of a deal. That's what I'm talking about taking final 3 through, okay, with the back and the down. Here's curl wheel. So we just talked about that with post wheel, literally same thing, right? Dropping to the flat or dropping back into the seam, working from depth through the curl to the flat, right? We want to hold the curl as long as we possibly can so we don't undress the corner. And by that, I mean, if we get out of here fast, right, this is catch and throw. That's a completion because the corner is going to be coming at it top down, right? So if they can throw it and catch it, that's a completion. So we need to hold the curl as long as we possibly can. When we start to get out leveraged by number 2, then we can start expanding, working through the curl, holding it as long as we can to the flat, right? And I'm only breaking like I have right here if the quarterback is throwing the ball. If he's not throwing the ball, I keep working from depth because I'm expecting this, right? Same idea over here. Go out, it's pretty easy. If he sits down, right, we get 3 in the down and he sits down, drop to our hook. Okay, hopefully we got all this covered up well. They throw the check down, buddy tackle, right, or compression. We call it compression tackle. We do all the Seahawks stuff. Okay, all right. Okay, let's see, next one is... Okay, here we got fast 3s. Okay, so fast 3, or over here, this is easy. We can talk this quick. We got a dig and we got a post. Okay, he's obviously in the seam. He's obviously deep. You got him. You got him. Okay, he's obviously deep. You got him. All right. Here, so we got fast 3. So fast 3, 1, 2, 3. He's fast to the flat. Okay, so now we have problem of, when we get flood, which I believe is the next slide that we talked with the kids. Okay, so we can't carry the seam anymore. We're dropping into the seam. working through the curl, right? Holding that as long as we can to the flat. If they throw it, then we're going to break on it. Okay. All right. So the outside backer, so he needs to be seeing the back, this kind of like triangle in here, right? We want to see kind of all of this, right? Well, it's not, there we go. It's kind of drawn, right? Okay, so when we see fast 3, our eyes are naturally going to 2, so we should see him going under. So he should be saying under, right? I'm not going to type it all the way out, okay? If I'm to the undercall, I'm going to robot, which means I'm going to roll over and run to the middle of the field looking for the drag or the dig, okay? And we're going to double it, right? Because if they can throw it and catch it, this is a completion, right? I'm in the outside trail, okay? If I don't robot, this is a completion, right? I'm behind him. He's running away from me. That's a completion. If I'm away from the undercall, right, I'm dropping to my hook. Hopefully we're communicating undercalls all the way through. But because we're playing this from depth, right, we're dropping 10 to 12 yards. We should be seeing this coming to us, so we should know we should have to take it anyways. We're going to take him through to the flat, right? So we got, 1, 2, there's my final 3. I got to take 3 through because we're drained out on this side, right? We're carrying the verticals. Nobody is there. So it's the same idea as when he was in the down and then came out late, right? We're drained out. Nobody's over here because we're carrying the verticals, because what are we trying to stop? 4 verticals. What beats cover 3, cover 6? 4 verticals, right? So we're trying to stop that. Okay. I think I had a chat thing come up. Does the star carry 2 all the way across the field, or does he come off it? He is, so here, this would be a good one to talk with that. Okay. He's not going to take it all the way across the field. No. Okay. We want to squeeze it back to this hook defender, right? I get that question a lot. So say we're getting, seam read concept, right? The corner should be making the undercall, which is telling him, hey, come off 2 in the seam and start squeezing this back, right? And then I'll take the deep guy because I'm the deep defender, and I'm going to squeeze this from depth, back all the way to the, the hook defender, right? And it might be all the way, back to, the center line, right? If it's past that, like, again, we have a problem up here. We are not getting pressure, right? They should not be able to get him all the way over there, right? Now, if we got, tight stacks, right, and it's coming from a tight end, right, that's different, but we're squeezing it back to the hook defender and trying to, pass it off to him. Okay. Let's see. All right. I think I got those. Okay. All right. So we just talked seam read right here. Okay. Here we got fast 3 with 2 in the seam. Okay. Fast 3, 2 in the seam. So we're dropping back into the seam and we're going to sail. Some of our kids will just straight pedal back. Some of them, that's easier for them. When I say sail, I mean sideways run. Okay. So we're going to sideways run like a corner would with our hips facing this way. We're facing the deep out. Okay. To take that away and trying to make you throw this check down, right? If you're going to throw the ball, it's going to have to be, in this window between the outside backer and the strong hook defender who's pushing to his near hip, right? Some people are, some kids are ballsy and they'll try to throw it. A lot of them, they just throw the check down and we, come up, rally tackle, buddy tackle, whatever you want to call it, right? Okay. Okay, let me see, check chat real quick. Did that one. What's your coaching point for the hook drop? Where should their eyes be? Okay. All right. I'm going to pull that one back up. The trips one back up. It'll go back. Okay. Here we go. Base rules, we're cross can. I talk about that and kind of the run fit videos I've done on CoachTube. So from that, we're pass drop wise, we're going to open and kind of shuffle for a few steps. Obviously, this is after we get a pass read, right? We're going to open up and shuffle for a few steps, eyeing out here to see what's going on, right? Is somebody coming in, right? Is it a slant? Is it an under, whatever, where we need to start squeezing stuff back, right? Whatever it might be. So we're going to shuffle, okay, get a glimpse of what's going on out here. And then we're going to square up and start pedaling back, right? So our hips are going to be like this, right? So we could see anything coming from the other side, right? Get depth, 10 to 12 yards. Our hips should be like this, like pointing at the quarterback. Okay. Obviously we should see, yes, he is looking at the quarterback, right? But again, we need to have big vision, right? This is zone. It's not man to man. See the whole picture. He should be able to see the fast three. So he knows that he needs to start expanding out, right? If it's the fast three with the shallow, right? Mike sees fast three, he's opening up and he sees the under. Really, he shouldn't even need an under call from the outside backer, okay? Because he should see this happening for him to robot and double the dig, right? So that's what our hook guys are looking at, okay? Can you talk about setting strength with Star and Will? We're a left-right team, so I know most people call their nickel their star, and he travels. Our star is always on the right, and our whip is always on the left. And then we, whoever the down guy is based on red or blue. So if we said blue, the whip is down and the star is back, and we'll rotate, from a 2-high shell to, 1-high. If it's red, then the star is down and the whip is back. So we don't play matchup. We play left-right. Do the inside backers always open up to their hook, or does it change with the fast three? Okay, good question. For obviously, if you're to the side of the fast three, you're going to open up that way, right? Like the Mike is getting the fast three. Okay, he's going to open up that way. We just talked about that. All right, here's the deal that we've done with the Sam. So 2 years ago when he's looking at him, we see fast three. We immediately started pushing this way and pushing all our zones over, right? Like we're going to talk in trips. The problem that we got was we would get slant on the backside. We wouldn't have anybody in the weak hook. That was a throw and catch. That was a completion, right? It was 5-6 yards, whatever. Did it kill us? No, but if somebody did that on third and medium, right, or whatever it was just easy first down. So we had to stop immediately pushing. We had to start bingo dropping, where versus fast three, we would drop to the weak hook and we would hold it, right? So if somebody was in the weak hook, we would stay in the weak hook. And if nobody was in the weak hook, like kind of for this example, then we would push back strong. So that's what the bingo drop is, which it's going to be very similar to, we do the same thing like an empty. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay. If you're still in 2x2, how about mesh inside crossers with fast three, outside run 6 steps, out routes? Okay. Mesh is pretty easy. Okay. All right. So mesh, basically it's going to get all passed off. Oh, that's a bad drawing, but we'll do it. Okay. Something like this, basically, comebacks, whatever outs. We'll get, basically what happens is fast three, the strong curl flat guy is going to take it, right, dropping into the seam, working through the curl to the flat, playing it from depth. Hopefully, if we are making under calls, that's awesome, but the hook defender should see it anyways. When they see the under route from their side, the shallow, they're going to robot, right? I've had the question before against mesh of, have you ever had them run into each other? No, I've never had them run into each other. But they're both going to robot. They're not going to see anybody in the middle of the field. So they're going to settle back up, right? In the hooks, okay, this shell is getting passed off to him, okay. Good question on this. With him coming through, the Mike is going to have to end up taking it through, right? That's the final 3, 1, 2, 3. The Mike's going to have to take it through, okay? So it would be, try and get a clean version. Whip is taking him, okay? Mike is taking him. Sam, isn't going to have anybody, and the star is taking him, right? If you throw the comeback and your quarterback or receiver is as good or better than mine, I don't stop that. I need to play something else. Okay. And that should be, okay. All right. That should be all the double stuff. Let's see. It's 240. All right. Okay. Let's see. I can like fly through 3x1, or we could talk about film. 12 minutes left. I'm going to basically fly through 3x1 and then we'll do film. Okay. So here's an example of us rotating weak and playing what we call skate versus trips. They're same thing the other way. Okay, here's our rules. We're going to flood the coverage. We're going to push everybody, one zone over. So the strong curl flat is in the flat. The strong hook is in the strong curl. The weak hook is in the strong hook. The weak curl flat is in the weak hook, right? And so we'll see the pictures hopefully coming up. We're talking about flooding the coverage again. Strong side corners mid-pointing. Since we pushed all the underneath guys strong, the backside corner is going to have to play what we call MEG, which is man everywhere he goes, man-to-man. Free safety playing his middle of the field technique. Dividers are all still the exact same. So here's an example. Backside man-to-man. This is our weak curl flat guy. He is pushed to the weak hook. Our weak hook guy is pushed to the strong hook. Our strong hook guy is pushed to the strong curl. Our strong curl flat guy is pushed just to the flat. He's going to midpoint. Here's our middle of the field player. Okay, so we're not carrying the verticals as a base rule in skate. Okay, there's our flat guys final 1, curls final 2, strong hook final 3, forward to first crosser. We're midpointing, middle of the field player. Okay, literally same thing the other way. We don't flip flop, so kids know how to play strong and weak. Okay. All right, so here's going to be some route matches. Can you explain middle of the field principle? Okay, so middle of the field principle for the free safety. Okay, so we are going to, if we're showing too high, then we're going to have to run to the point. Okay, so I tell them if we're showing too high, you run exactly dead on to the middle of the field. Okay, which for that is right on the upright. Okay. That's dead on in the middle of the field. I've seen some people, some guys I know will run to an upright if it's on the hash. We don't want to move much farther off of the middle of the field, right? Because it's going to throw off our dividers and it's middle of the field closed. Get your ass in the middle of the field, right? So we're going to align at 10 to 12 yards in the middle of the field. And then at the snap, we're going to pedal to 20. We're going to vision the quarterback and we're going to melt to the first look and break on the second. So when I say melt to the first look, I mean, we're going to angle pedal, okay, in the direction that he's looking. And then we'll break on the second look based off quarterback intention, right? High shoulder, low shoulder, all that stuff. He's more of a pure zone type player than a zone match, right? He is watching the quarterback. He's not necessarily looking at receivers. We're trying to get picks with him, okay? If, we're showing too high, right, and he's stacked over number 2, then he'll run to that, 12-yard point in the middle of the field, square up and pedal, okay? Is Ripley's match possible to play against 3x1? You can play it against 3x1. That's the skinny tag, which I can talk about real quick. What about 4 verts out of trips where 3 goes to the other hash? All right, let's talk about that because I got a bunch of questions on skinny. Okay, so let's see. Let me get the 4 vertical drawing up here. Okay, here's the 4 vertical drawing. Okay, so as a base rule, when we're playing skate or if we're playing Buzz Mabel and 3, we're not carrying verticals, right? We're pushing to the flat and we're mid-pointing. We're forcing the Hail Mary throw over the top of the corner's head, to this number 1 wide receiver. If I want to play a Rip Liz match-esque coverage, two trips, we call it a flame tag is what we call it, right? If I'm like the Saban guy or whatever, so Saban calls it skinny, right? So basically all that says is we're going to play match rules, Ripley's match rules on 1 and 2. I might have this on here actually. Oh man, we got 81 slides. Let me see if here we go. I got it on here. Okay, here's the rules. Okay, we'll talk the rules real quick and then I'll show film. Okay, so we're playing our Ripley's match rules. We're still flooding the coverage. Okay, so we're still pushing everybody to the trip side. All right, the strong hook defender is going to have to take any final 3 through to the flat when they're in the down. Okay, and so here's an example of that. Okay, this is the hard thing against the skinny tag, right? Is if you are getting anybody to the flat at all, you do not want to play skinny. Okay. Whether they're fast, right? Whether it's a fast 3, a fast 4, or they're in the down, right? A 5-yard out, he's going to the flat late. All right. We're out leveraged on this, right? That should be throw and catch completion. We got to try to run it down, right? So if anybody at all is in the flat, hitch, out, whatever, I do not want to play skinny. So normally we do not play skinny against trips unless it's 3rd and long, and I know we're going to get 4 verticals, right? Like that's the only time that we play skinny, what we call flame, right? Because the problem of you are not leveraging the flat anymore, right? So 1's deep, I got him. 2's in the seam, I got him. Here he is on like the 5 whatever yard out, and he goes out, he's in the down, he has to take him through to the flat, okay? I get questions on that a lot, okay? Here it is against 4 verticals with the bender, okay? Whoever the 3 player is has to take 3 up and back behind him to the man-to-man side, right? So if we were playing like normal cover 3 and we had him deep, right, I wouldn't be worried about having to take people back across the formation because he's going to run to him. You know what I'm saying? Well, we don't have the deep guy anymore, right? If one runs a sit-down hitch, we're on him. There's no deep guy over here. We have to take him. So the reason I have X's is because depending upon whether we're rotating strong or weak, it could be different guys, right? So it goes back to whoever the weak hook guy is that got pushed to the strong hook, the final 3 player, he has to take 3 up and back so we can defend the 4 verticals concept, okay? Here's an example of playing skinny and somebody's to the flat. We're going to have to sail, right? 2's in the seam. He's into the flat. We're going to have to sail and push to the flat, right? Which means we're not going to have great leverage on this because he could beat us quicker than is if we just pushed out to the flat immediately, right? What am I giving up? I'm giving up the seam throw, right? But if they can throw, the seam, right? Say it is this, okay? I get this question too. He's mid-pointing, right? Fast 3, we have to come off. We're in the curl. We're mid-pointing 2 and 1, playing 2 with divider leverage. He's in the middle of the field, whatever. If they can throw this pass right there over the top of the curl defender before the middle of the field player can get there, before the corner can undercut it, and, after the curl flat guy has held it, that kid is really fucking good, and I need to not be playing zone. I need to be playing man-to-man, right? So I get that question a lot too, is what happens against doubles, fast 3, 4 verticals if they throw the seam? Well, if they're really good, you don't stop that. Play something else. Play cover 1. Play 2-man. Play something else to take away that throw, right? So I get that question a lot too. All right, we got like 4 minutes left. Okay, here's just an example of we're still making smash rules. Okay, he's underneath. Okay, we're making the smash call. He's going to come off of the seam and hunt the hip of the 1. We're going to midpoint 2, play underneath it. If 3 is straight up the field, technically we should not be running with him. We should settle in the strong hook because he's going to be running right to the middle of the field player. I get that question a lot too. Okay. All right. Let's check chat real quick before we show film. Is your sprint out boot rules the same as trips? Okay. So sprint out boot rules, whoever the final 3 player is always goes on secondary contain. Okay. So example on this, he's 1. If I can draw. Yep. He's 1. He's 2. He's 3. We get sprint out. He should go. Whoever that is, right? Whoever the 3 player is, depending upon cover 3 or cover 6, should always go a secondary contain on sprint out. Okay. Can you explain? Okay. I think I got all of the chat questions. So I'm going to try to show film in the last few minutes. Okay. All right. Yep, I only got a few minutes. Okay, hopefully the film doesn't lag too much. We tried to test it. Okay, here is example. Here's us in the summer. Probably was, yeah, this is in the summer. So just got helmets on. So this is like, day 3, whatever type stuff. All right, we're going to get NCAA. We're going to get an under. We're going to get a dig. One of these guys is running a post and a go. So we should get an under call, squeeze back to the hook defender, looking to play the check down to the running back. He's going to have to robot. He's going to have to take it through. He has 2 in the seam. He's going to take it. Okay. Good robot by 25. You'll see 34 taking it through. We've doubled the dig. You can see the quarterback is double hitching, right? He's patting the ball. He knows he can't fit that. This is going to be a hellacious throw to fit it in between him and before he gets there. That's going to be a crazy throw, right? So there's going to be NCAA. Here's fast 3 flood. So here's an example of the sail technique. He should be pushing out, right, to the curl. See if he does. No, 52 should be expanding more, right? He's a D-line kid that got moved to linebacker. Here's a good example of a smash call down here. Leo C 33. Hunt the hip on the smash, play underneath the corner. And then this is the sail technique at the top of him pedaling back. You can see him pedaling back, trying to leverage, keep leverage on the deep out and force the check down, which is what we got. Okay, here's trips. Okay, not great technique by the 4-to-1st crosser player, but we're passing the shallows back because nobody went weak. So let's see, we're playing 3 buzz. Okay, the corner should be getting out quicker. All right, this is early, and he's a new kid. He needs to be getting out quicker because he should be midpointing. Here you can see us pedaling back. So here would be the 1. Here would be final 2. Here would be final 3. There's 4-to-1st crosser. We're rotating the weak safety to the middle of the field. Okay, I'm about out of time. Let me try and get a few more. Here's 4 verticals. Here is a good example of taking 3 up and back by that same kid. So he's the final 3. 1, he's dropping down to play in the curl. Here's a good 3 up and back clip. That's a great 3 up and back clip. Okay, and it looks like we're working on skinny up at the top. So it looks like he's taking 2 in the seam. Yep, he's getting outside trail position. That kid, the corner should be on top of him. Okay, he's going to get beat on that. And let me see if I can get one more. Here, we'll do this as a good last one. Okay, we're getting split flow with the back going weak. Okay, so the 4 players going to have to take him. So any other unders coming, we have to take them through, okay, with their defender respectively. So if 1 is under, then the final 1 has to take him. If 2 is under, the final 2 player has to take him through. If 3 is under, the final 3 player has to take him through. So on this one, I believe we get drive. So it should be, we're getting fast for a week. We're getting a dig and a shallow. You're going to see this. We're playing 3 buzz Mabel, and he's going to work to take it through. He should take 3 up and back, and I believe he lets him backdoor him if I remember right. Yeah, here's a good job of him taking him back through. We're taking 3 up and back, and you can see let him cut underneath him. That's a completion. That should be a completion right there, right? So there's going to be some examples of different ones, different route combos. There's let me check the chat real quick. Thanks, Coach. Okay.
You got just a minute here to wrap up.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions that they want to throw out? For this stuff. Hopefully I was able to answer a bunch of them.
Yeah, Coach. Well, thanks for
one.
taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk some football with us. We really appreciate it. Anybody that's still looking to get in touch with Coach, you got his contact info on the screen there. I'm sure he's open to answering any questions that you guys have. So thanks again for joining us, Coach.
Yep. Thanks, man.